Here she is. Oh. I like this part. She blinded me with science. Okay, say her name.
Poured science in my eyes.
Okay, we're back on track here. Jennifer.
Okay.
Tell us,
What's the
besides being
segue?
fantastic in the
Segue into
Follies,
science.
now we're segueing to science. You were fantastic in the Follies.
Yeah,
Oh,
great
thank
job.
you.
You were
Thank
Really good.
I was
That was
too.
a
We
lot
were
of
all
fun.
really great.
It's
Okay.
really a lot of
Eileen's
fun.
thing was a total crack up.
Yeah. So what do we got?
Well, I wanted to talk about something called citizen science. And just kind of remind people, like when you were kids, don't you remember how cool science was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody wanted to be, science is really just about curiosity. And as you get older, somehow you think, well, I can't participate in science because I don't have a PhD from MIT, or, there's this specialization that we come to think that scientists are in the professional world, and there's no way to participate in that. So I've been uncovering that that's really not true, that there's all kinds of things that are out there, particularly on the web, and that the internet has really enabled participation by regular people that don't necessarily have a specialty in science, but that they can get involved in all kinds of interesting projects. So I wanted to talk about a few of those things today. So really, this goes back quite a ways, to 1900s. Christmas bird way of doing a bird census and tracking local bird populations, and then that would inform conservation projects. But now the internet has really made it possible to find out about things that are happening all over the world and to participate, and then now couple that with smartphones and mobile applications where you can track data, you can upload information, you can share photographs of things. The breadth of these kinds of projects are really getting huge. So one of the things that happens is you can gather data that will be analyzed later by professional researchers. And some of these things are like...
You mean this is an established program that people can become a part of and gather data, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are lots of different websites that you can register with. Some of them require a little video tutorial or something, but a lot of, so you just log on and say, okay, I'm going to participate. Like, for instance, there's one where you, it's a weather tracking project,
cool.
and it's called Snow Tweets.
That's cool.
And so you basically go out and you measure how much snow is on the ground in your area, and you tweet it to this centralized project.
I love that.
Bunch of researchers that are tracking this, and they create this map. So it can be a very specialized map. It's not just at a weather station. And then they will actually rebroadcast it out for those interested in these maps of snow accumulation.
That is cool.
Just as a question, wouldn't they be able to tell that from a satellite or something, how deep the snow is, or you really need somebody there who measures
not really,
it?
not depth. I mean, you could see where it was, but not how deep it was.
Okay.
Another one is taking photograph of spiders that you find in your local area. And
we've lost Eileen. She's out measuring right now, or looking for spiders right now. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, these people
Yeah.
are interested in all these kinds of things. And so they're creating a geographical database of all the different kinds of spiders and where they're showing up. And as climate changes, different species are migrating to different places. And so this is all very important to
Wow.
know.
That's great.
There's
Now,
a
why is that important, for instance? Just why do we want to know that about spiders, for instance?
Well, I don't know about spiders, for instance, but, as climate gets warmer, then certain insects aren't able to survive past certain...
I see.
They're normally have mating seasons and are birth seasons, and now all that's getting messed up because the climate is changing. So another project is started from the San Francisco State University, and it's called the Great Sunflower Project. And this is kind of cool because you're asked to go plant some flowers and then observe and count the bees that come and pollinate the flowers.
Wow, that's cool.
And then that goes into a database, and this is all part of this whole research around the bees and the disappearance of the bees.
Right. Is that getting any better or worse, or same state?
I don't know. I think I don't see it in the news as much, so I'm hoping that it's getting better. So then there's a whole nother category that's where you analyze the data that's already been collected by professional researchers, and this is really the predominant number of projects that I found are in this category. But some of these are pretty cool. One is called Galaxy Zoo, and this is a very large website, galaxyzoo.com. And this is to analyze images that are coming back from the Hubble Space Telescope.
Wow.
Yeah. So these are some big numbers here, but there's roughly 100 billion galaxies that are scattered through our observable universe. Observable through the Hubble telescope, not from our naked eye. But so somebody's got to go through all these images and find out what's out there. And a lot of times these artificial intelligence programs are really not as good as the human eye and brain at finding shapes and outlining patterns. And so, according to this website, the shapes of these galaxies gives them a lot of information about how it was formed, where, what's in it, whether they're a spiral shape or whether they're a round shape. So Galaxy Zoo is a 5-year-old website, and they have hundreds of thousands of users that are on here doing these kinds of projects that are basically looking at images from telescopes and outlining galaxies.
Wow.
How do you find out about that, Jennifer? How do you know that? That's so great. I mean, it's like these huge things that I don't know how, if you didn't tell us about it, anybody would even be aware of it. Of course, hundreds of thousands of people are, but I mean, is it just because the internet is so attracting of people who are interested in certain kinds of things that if they go on there and skate around long enough, they find something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the citizen science thing actually has been around for several years. I just discovered it about a year ago, and I've been looking for projects to be involved with. So that's how I've come across a lot of these things. But I mean, literally hundreds of thousands of people are doing this kind of thing. And it kind of started. You might have heard about this. Do you remember hearing about SETI and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence?
And it's shut down now, right?
Well, the SETI at home is not, and this was a project by UC Berkeley, and so this is how this whole internet science thing started. I think it's something called distributed computing. So it's basically using your personal computer through the internet during idle times. So some huge project that needs a huge amount of computational processing. You download this free screensaver, basically, and while your computer is idle, the computer program kicks in and it starts analyzing all of this, the radio waves that are being transmitted, and they're being picked up by various telescopes. And there's just such a massive amount of information that no supercomputer can even handle this amount of information, but hundreds of thousands of laptop or personal computers can.
Oh, I love that!
Wow.
And so
this is so mind blowing.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
this has been going on since 1999 actually, and there's 3 million users or 3 million people participating in this. And it's kind of like the precursor to citizen science because it didn't really involve the volunteer. It was basically just using your computer. So but it was a way of networking everybody for a common goal. So that was kind of the first thing, and I think that was pretty well known, that whole project. And then and the Human Genome Project also used computing power that way.
Have they discovered anything?
No, they're still looking.
Boy,
They're looking for intelligence on Earth first.
Yeah,
I think.
I've been looking myself for a while.
Start actually.
that genome. Did you see the what was the I don't know if it was PBS but the special they did about that?
No, I didn't see that.
It was incredible. They took about 40 people from Brooklyn, all different, people, and they were able to trace from the Great Mother where their family went. Did they go towards India? Did they come up over towards Africa? Did they go up, towards Turkey and around like that?
Yeah.
And they from your, from that project, they were able to say well, you thought you were African, but actually your ancestors are from India.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's great.
We're more connected than we thought.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
There's something so wonderful about that idea of people using computers, I mean, when they're not using it, to have it go towards that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing.
So then some of the other ones where you are actually involved is there's something called Zooniverse. And Zooniverse is a big website that is kind of a clearinghouse for lots of different projects. So if you're in the market to get involved with some sort of project, you could go there. A lot of them are space related, but they also have some around nature and biology. But some of the space ones are exploring the surface of the moon by analyzing images of the moon, where they want to count and trace out the shapes of moon craters.
Wow.
And this is a project by NASA.
Now, how on earth can we be involved in that?
Well, you just log on, you watch a little video that shows you what a crater is like, and it tells you what it's looking for, and then you trace out the craters. I mean, it has all these images, right? So it's collected the data. The NASA project has collected the data, and it's presenting it to you on the website, and then you're performing these tasks.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, like right here it says, I'm on the website, it says, we hope to study the lunar surface in unprecedented detail. Thanks to the help of the Moon Zoo community, we have already visually classified 2,325,944 images from the...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
It's amazing.
It's so cool to think that all these people are out there collaborating and networking, and we're putting all of our brains together. There's another one, a nature-related one on Zooniverse, where you identify images of, or you're identifying sea life on images of the ocean floor. And this is a project by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. So you're counting sea stars and seaweeds and scallops and all kinds of things. And this is all, again, to monitor habitats and inform conservation programs. There's things in biology where you can classify cancer cells. So there are images of, like, take a microscope of a slide of cells, and there's a snapshot of those, and you're looking through those. There's another one that was kind of, my favorite website is called Sci Starter, SCIstarter.com. And this one I like because it's a little more mainstream friendly, and you can sort by topics that you like. So let's say you're interested in birds or insects or sound, psychology, archaeology, health and medicine, all kinds of things. You can also sort by what's appropriate for kids to participate in or classroom activities. Some of these projects have teaching materials that are associated with them. Or you can sort by type of activity. Like, do you want to do this from your computer, or do you want to go outside? Do you want to do this at a museum?
Wow.
Or from your car. Now, this was interesting. I thought, well, this is a category from your car. What could you possibly do from your car? So I sorted on that. And this, you guys are going to love this one. There's a project that's called Project Splatter. And it is to report wildlife road casualties.
Oh, wow.
Project Splatter.
Project Splatter.
I was wondering who you call on that.
This is a project in the UK, but it's funny. It sounds funny, but it's actually to help map the migration paths of certain wildlife so that they can preserve those paths. If they were seeing a lot of roadkill in a certain area, they're saying there's a problem here. There's another one like this called Oh Deer, DEER.
Oh, wow.
About deer getting hit by cars.
But isn't that also, I mean, not to go way into this subject, but I just think you go to parts of the country where their road maintenance isn't very good, so you see a lot more carcasses and stuff like that.
From the actual road.
Yeah.
There is a site, actually I think it's in San Francisco, about road repairs, where you can call in and say there's a pothole on First Street West and it needs to be fixed. And
Actually,
that kind of thing.
I have an app like that.
Yeah.
No, I do.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
Yeah,
good.
I love that.
Here's a couple other ones that are a little bit different. This one I thought was fun, called Whale FM, like a radio station. And this is, you're listening to individual orca whale calls, whale sounds. And apparently whales in a particular pod have similar calls, and so you're listening to the sounds on your computer, and it also shows you a tracing, kind of like GarageBand. And,
Oh, yeah.
And you classify them based on the similarities between the whale sounds.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And that helps
I'd like to do that.
researchers.
Although I'd have to say, if I listened a lot to
Yeah.
I'd probably fall asleep.
It's not terribly interesting, but...
Here, listen.
Oh, he's doing it. He's on web.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like the audience from the
That's cool.
Follies. Yeah, no, that's a great one. I love whales. Ooh.
Yeah.
I know. They're, to me, the most amazing creatures.
Yeah.
So then a lot of these are looking at images. One is counting seals in Antarctica from satellite images.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of these are satellite images and space images. So there's all kinds of interesting things out there. And then the next level that I found was a science that was made into games. So we were talking about brain training and games last time. Well, this is sort of the next level where not only are you using your brain, but you are helping science. There's one called iWire, I like eyeball, and it was developed at MIT. And it's a game to trace neurons on pictures of retinas. And this was kind of what we were talking about, neuroplasticity, where you create these pathways. Well, this is to actually create three-dimensional maps of those neuronal connections. And so there's tons of these images on this website, iWire, and they made a game out of it to see... you get points for creating these images. And they actually have, in their first year, they have 60,000 players
Wow.
in 100 different countries.
Wow. That's great.
So
That's
there's
so
just, I mean,
exciting.
think about all these people
Yeah.
that are out there
That is
doing this
so
stuff
exciting.
and getting jazzed about science and
Wow.
whatever area they like.
Well, when you...
I like. Oh,
Go ahead.
I like this whole thing so much better than when you think about people who all they do is tweet, "I like chocolate," or
Yeah.
the whole thing
Yeah.
of Facebook
Yeah.
where they're posting things that are of absolutely no interest to most people.
Yeah.
And here you're using the whole social media to do this research and science. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's true. It raises the bar a lot.
Yeah.
And also, when you said, I think, Sci Starter, that was what I was thinking, is I thought, how do people... I mean, the main thing is, how do you get... like you said, remember when it was all fun to do science, and Eileen and Cliff said, oh, yeah. I never felt connected to it at all. And I never had a teacher who sparked my interest at all. And then I read a book years later called The Aquarian Conspiracy, which was a great book about how, what New Age thinking about energy and consciousness, and how it actually dovetails into science perfectly, and how scientists have been thinking aspects of that. And suddenly, I mean, I was like 25 years old, and I went, I'm interested in science now. I didn't even know that. And, CSI, all those CSI shows have turned out like hundreds of thousands of people are trying to do that for a living. Even if they're completely unrealistic, it shows how if you show something to kids, they might be really interested in that.
Yeah.
Well, there was a whole thing on participatory feeling, other than, somebody teaching you English or math. Here, we had little masks and beakers, and you're, making chemicals, things are exploding. Seriously, it was so much fun to do that.
Yeah.
With the right teacher, that's really where it is.
And plus, with these things, if a kid can really get reinforcement from his or her parents and family to feel like they're a part of something that's bigger than them, that's really important too.
Right. Well, and that's what the online community does. You feel, and most of these sites, you have an account or a user profile, and some of these games that you collect points, for instance, or you just you keep track of how many times you participated. So there is this kind of thing. Well, this user has looked at 3,000 slides of cancer cells or whatever it is. So you can kind of gauge how much you're participating. There's a whole nother thing that I wanted to talk to you about was for inventing things. Now there's kind of citizen science for inventors. And this is a really interesting idea. It's more trying to open up science. The website is called Marblar, Marblar, and it's basically there are posted hundreds of patented technologies from NASA and University of Pennsylvania and some other research institute. And the idea is to look at the patented technologies and see if you can come up with a new application for it. And the website actually has commercial partners such as Samsung, so that a lot of these things are actually going to get commercialized. So they're sort of trolling for new ideas, and it's just really great because most of the time NASA holds on, or any corporation holds on to their patent portfolio, and they don't want to show everybody. But here, this kind of website is to expand and magnify the impact of these patented technologies, especially as NASA programs are getting closed down. Like a lot of stuff was developed for the Mars rover, for instance. Well, where else could this stuff be used? So there's one of the examples that I pulled up was this 6-legged all-terrain robot that was developed for the Mars rover. And it's really cool. It's actually based on cockroach legs. So it's not wheels. It's not a wheel-based thing. And consequently, it can go over stairs and rubble and uneven surfaces. And it can actually run and jump. It's amazing. I
knew cockroaches would come in handy at some point.
Yeah. It catches a Frisbee really well when you throw it. That's amazing.
By the way,
is amazing.
You're listening to Jennifer Wood on Guys at 5 on Monday. She's our siren of science. Go ahead.
Well, this 6-legged robot, it's called Rex, and so they're looking for other applications for it. So something like it could be
our siren of science. Go ahead.
Well, this 6-legged robot, it's called Rex, and so they're looking for other applications for it. So something like it could be used for searching buildings for survivors in earthquakes, because it could actually traverse all this rubble, and it can carry cameras and sensors, so it could look for heat coming from people, or it could have cameras, or it could go into a radioactive site and videotape what's going on in the reactors at Fukushima.
Thank you.
So those kind of things. So this website, and you earn, so the other part of this that's interesting is you earn points or marbles, because it's Marblar, for your ideas. So you put in ideas, and depending on the person that posts the technology rates your ideas, you collect these marbles, and then at the end, when the idea is commercialized, it's developed and commercialized, the people get 10% of the royalties, the inventors.
Oh, great. I was wondering about that, because I was thinking, people have great ideas, but they still want to be attached to them if they work. Yeah.
So at different stages in the development, so there's a concept phase and the market research and technical feasibility, etc., you earn marbles for each of your ideas in these various stages, and at the end you get a percentage of the royalties based on how many great ideas you had towards the commercialization of this device.
That's so great.
So these are just some really interesting things that are happening out there. And funding wise, I came across a crowdfunding site, kind of like Kickstarter, but focused only on science projects. It's called MicroRhiza. So these are mostly PhD students that are looking for money to do their PhD project or something. But it's again another way to get things done and to put your ideas out there and get funding, and just
very cool.
It's so exciting because when the net went up, it had such awesome power, and no one knew what would fill in that vacuum. And these are all so hopeful and great. People from all over thinking of these ideas and opening them up to the world.
Yeah. And just an interesting historical note, really, if you think about it, Darwin was kind of the original citizen scientist. He didn't have the internet, obviously, but he relied on and corresponded with hundreds of people all around the world about their expertise in different species. I mean, he wasn't an expert on every species and every animal and plant species, so he actually corresponded with, and there's volumes and volumes of his correspondence, and he relied on people sending him samples, on advising him about different species, and it made a huge impact on his theories. So
That's
Wow.
great.
It goes back to
That
the
is so great.
1800s. But we've come a long way, baby.
Jennifer,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you
for sure.
so much. That's
You're
just
welcome. You're
fantastic
welcome.
information. And we can't do it right now, but at some point we should be able to, because people have talked to me about your segment and love it, and I wonder where we could put some of these sites so they would
Yeah.
remember them or something.
Yeah.
But we'll have to figure that out.
Yes,
we might
we
even
will.
figure that out sooner than we figure out the cue of "She blinded me with science." But can we try that again as we say goodbye to Jennifer? Oh,
Yay! Perfect.
that's a little low, but.
With science.
The siren of science.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay.